This is so hurtful to so many Canadians. People who have faced injury, both in physical violence and in words, people who haven't been able to get jobs because of the color of their skin, now are waking up to seeing the Prime Minister of this country mock their lived realities. This is very painful for a lot of people.
Well, I certainly do believe that Justin Trudeau has embarrassed Canada on the world stage in the past, and that this incident, no doubt, certainly does not help his own situation nor that of our country. One more reason why I don't believe he's fit to govern this country.
Almost 24 hours ago, a major turn in this federal election campaign. A photo surfaced last night of Liberal leader Justin Trudeau in blackface. Fast forward to today, and Trudeau is now answering to 3 separate images from his past. Speaking today in Winnipeg, he apologized and acknowledged that he's hurt many Canadians.
It was something that minimizes and takes advantage of a reality that I have not had to live with, of being discriminated against, of being marginalized, of being judged for the color of my skin. And I have to recognize that I let a lot of people down with that choice. And I stand here today to reflect on that and to ask for forgiveness.
Trudeau also said he's reached out to many members of his party to apologize. That includes Omar Alghabra. He's the Liberal candidate for Mississauga Centre, and he joins us from Toronto now. Hi, Mr. Alghabra. Thanks very much for making time for us. I really appreciate it. Nice to have you back on the show.
Hi, Vashi. Good to be with you.
What can you tell us about that phone conversation?
Well, I was actually canvassing last night, and I got a call between doors, and it happened to be the Prime Minister on the line. He called to say that he has some, he wants to prepare me for some news story that's going to come out soon. Then he went on to tell me what the story is about, and he wanted to express his personal apology to me, and tell me that this is going to be a painful story, but he's going out to publicly acknowledge it and own it and apologize for it. And that he wanted me to know that that he's going to do whatever he can to reaffirm his commitment that he's demonstrated over the last years as a champion for minority rights, for visible minorities.
And what did you say to him?
As you can imagine, I was first surprised by the news. I hadn't seen the news story yet, and it came out about 45 minutes after he and I had spoken. I did tell him that it's really important that he comes out publicly and express what happened, and he owns it and he expresses his apology for it. I told him that the Justin Trudeau I know since I've been working with him since 2012 is a person who has been defending and championing human rights, visible minority rights. He's been in the corner of many Canadians who have been looking to have a voice, and frankly, people around the world. And yes, this will be painful. Yes, this will be, this is an offensive image, and that we need to take this moment to have a frank and honest conversation with Canadians.
Can I ask you, as someone who, as you said, had a relationship, a friendship with the Prime Minister, with the leader of the Liberal Party, and I know you're in the middle of campaign and it's difficult to do so, but taking off your party hat for a second, when you saw the image, was it difficult to reconcile that with the person that you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're asking me, I can tell you, honestly, I'm disappointed in that Justin Trudeau. But the Justin Trudeau that I know has been a champion, and I'm not just saying this where I've seen him champion human rights in front of cameras. I'm talking about witnessing him being a vigorous defender of human rights in private, taking on some of our colleagues, challenging ourselves to making sure that we're always thoughtful and sensitive to the needs of visible minorities. So yes, I'm disappointed in that Justin Trudeau. I believe that Justin Trudeau has gone through an evolution process, and he has demonstrated that he has learned over the years. Even though I didn't know about that history, he has demonstrated his leadership, and again, not just through words, but through actions and through deeds.
Is it concerning to you, though, that it isn't just that one photo, that there's the video and another photo?
Look, even one photo is concerning. So for me, it's concerning. And I'll tell you, if Trudeau had not been a champion and has not been acting on his beliefs for defending human rights and visible minorities, for standing up against hatred and intolerance over the last few years, had he started doing this after these photos had come out, I can understand those who are skeptical. But my faith in the Prime Minister comes from, and I know people will take it as bias because I'm his friend and I'm a member of the Liberal Party, but I'm speaking as someone who has received attacks over the years, who has been stereotyped, who has been condemned because of my background. I look to Mr. Trudeau as someone who is in the corner of those who receive these type of stereotypes, who has been standing up against Islamophobia, against anti-Semitism, against anti-Black racism, against anti-Indigenous discrimination, against LGBTQ discrimination for years. And he has implemented policies that the rest of the world looks up to, human rights champions around the world look up to. So he has demonstrated to me through actions, way before we started this conversation, what kind of person he is.
Is there a different standard for him, though, than the one that he and your party have set for example, Conservative candidates? And in no way am I absolving the types of comments that have come out that some of those candidates have made in their past on social media. But when Mr. Scheer said, I think it was on Sunday evening, that if someone atones, if they have evolved, if they have moved on and they say they're sorry, he's willing to forgive them, your party criticized him and accused him of not taking racism seriously enough. Why doesn't that standard apply to Mr. Trudeau here?
Look, I think we should hold ourselves to the same standard, to the same high standard. And I think it's fair to ask all candidates, including Justin Trudeau, for these images. I think the difference here is that we need to watch for actions, not just words. And words are important too, but even actions. And for example, Mr. Scheer, we know now what he said 13 years ago about affording LGBT community the right to access civil marriage. He has not really demonstrated that he has changed. I can accept that he has changed, but has he demonstrated that he has evolved, he has changed? Has he been attending Pride? Has he been speaking up for LGBT communities' right to same-sex marriage? He hasn't done that. And I think it's fair to ask the Prime Minister to answer for those images, to ask him these tough questions. I think he needs to answer those questions, and he has been over the last 2 days, and I'm sure he will continue to do so. So I certainly don't assume that there should be double standard.
But if those candidates should be disqualified, does Mr. Trudeau need to apply the same standard to himself?
Yeah, I mean, the standard is not just if you had said something 15 years ago that you should be disqualified. It should be, where are you today in relative to those comments? So I think that's a fair question to ask candidates, including Justin Trudeau, including Andrew Scheer, including Conservative and Liberal and NDP candidates. I think that's a fair standard. So it's not just, had you said something 20 years ago or 15 years ago that is offensive, it's where are you today and what have you done to demonstrate that you've evolved from those comments. I think that's a reasonable standard to hold everybody to account.
Okay, I'll leave it there then. Thank you so much, Mr. Alghabra. Really appreciate your time this evening. That's Omar Alghabra, Liberal candidate in Ontario. So how are Trudeau's colleagues reacting? Bardish Chagger is the Liberal candidate for the riding of Waterloo, Ontario, and she joins us from there. Hi, Ms. Chagger. Nice to see you. Thanks for making time for us.
Good to be here.
Ms. Chagger, have you spoken with Mr. Trudeau since that first photo came out about 24 hours ago?
As you know, we are in the midst of an election campaign, so I've been knocking on doors, speaking with citizens in the riding of Waterloo, speaking with people in the region of Waterloo. My focus has always been local, but when I did return home last night, I was able to see Justin Trudeau's apology. And from what I took from it is that it was genuine, it was very sincere, and he acknowledged that that was racist then, and it is racist now, and he's taken responsibility, and I accept his apology.
What was your reaction when you first saw the photo or the photos?
So upon my becoming aware, he was already speaking and providing a statement last night, and he was speaking with media. So for myself, as somebody who's born and raised in the Waterloo region, I know that we need to have these tough conversations, and these tough conversations need to continue, because yes, we've come a long way, but we have a lot more work to do. And I know as the child of immigrants that Waterloo region has grown. We have learned a lot, we have evolved, but we're not there yet. So if we really do want every Canadian to maximize their potential, these are the tough conversations we need to have. And I'm confident that with a leader like Justin Trudeau, we will be able to have them. And we will actually be able to build an even better Canada, where every individual, regardless of background, regardless of sexuality, is able to grow and achieve.
Given your relationship, I guess, with Mr. Trudeau, your time spent in cabinet with him, though, when you saw those photos, I mean, had you expected anything like that? Had you been aware of anything like that? Were you surprised? Were you disappointed?
I will tell you that for myself, I'm well aware of many incidences that take place in individual people's lives. What I want to see is, what do we do from those experiences? Do we learn? Do we grow? Do we evolve? How do we ensure that the next generation has an even better Canada? Canada is a country that has given my family and me so much, and that's why I chose to run for office. I believe in the vision of Justin Trudeau. I believe in the vision that the Liberal Party is setting forward, where we can ensure that every Canadian has a fairer chance at success. And I want to be part of a team that helps that happen. And that's exactly why I'm running again, is because I want to ensure that we're having these tough conversations. And that's something the Liberal Party has never shied away from in the past, and that's something that we'll continue to do. Justin Trudeau's reaction yesterday to me, as I've said, was genuine. It was sincere. I know he was full of regret, and he was hurt because he hurt people. It was a very poor decision that he made, and he accepted responsibility and he apologized. And to me, that means a lot.
Is that standard, though, that you just described for Mr. Trudeau, is it applied equally across party lines? There was, or even within your own party, there was a candidate, a Liberal candidate, originally in a riding near Montreal, Hassan Guillet, who was disqualified by your party for making anti-Semitic remarks on social media. We had him on the show. He apologized for those remarks. He said he had apologized to your party for them, but instead he was, as I mentioned, disqualified. And the party said at the time that it strongly condemns all forms of discrimination, and the same is always expected of our candidates. Should that standard apply to Mr. Trudeau in this case?
So I will say that I was not privy to those conversations. What I can say is that I've known Justin Trudeau, and I know that the individual that he is and the values that he shares is about having a more inclusive Canada. I know that the policies that we have fought on in the last campaign and we have advanced over the last 4 years are policies that are going to ensure that we succeed in Canada, that more people have a chance at success. And that's exactly why when it comes to underrepresented communities, we make sure that they are at the table and that we're having those conversations, because every individual needs to have their voice heard. When Justin Trudeau says in Canada that diversity is our strength, he's not only talking about the shells that we occupy, but he's talking about the diversity of regions, of perspectives, of experiences, of gender, and the list goes on. And to me, that is leadership. We have to have these tough conversations, and we have to acknowledge that when people make mistakes, that they need to learn from those mistakes. And what I see from Justin Trudeau's comments is that he has learned from those mistakes. He does regret that decision. He has accepted responsibility, and I accept his apology.
Do you understand, though, how those messages, for example, like diversity is our strength, the
It popped out.
Oh, your earpiece is out. My apologies. Can you hear me now, Ms. Chager? Is that okay?
I can hear you now. I'm sorry about that.
I was saying, picking up on what you said, if you can understand how some Canadians, when they hear those messages that diversity is our strength, which we've heard often repeated by people in your party and by Justin Trudeau specifically himself, or when he talks about the policies or his track record, can you understand how for some Canadians now it sounds hollow? Right? It's not as though this is just one small incident from a long time ago. It's 3 individual photos of blackface, which I've been educated throughout this show, has been very clearly known by many people, by most people, to be racist. does it not create a hollowness of the kinds of message that you're trying to deliver at the door right now?
I can say that I know that many people have different perspectives. I've been knocking on doors all day today, and I know that people have been able to share their perspectives. This was hurtful. There is no doubt about that. And I think in the Prime Minister's comments, Justin Trudeau's comments, that he does regret it, and he does appreciate that it was hurtful and that it was wrong, it was racist. And I believe the fact that he recognizes that and acknowledges it and takes responsibility, to me, it does make a difference. I can also tell you, Vashi, that I've been knocking on doors, and I have a very diverse team of volunteers. And there are a lot of hurtful comments that volunteers have to hear. And it's important that we have this conversation. I think about when people make racist jokes. Do people laugh at those jokes, or do they condemn those jokes? Do they repeat those jokes? And these are conversations that we need to have, because when a joke is racist, it's not funny. And we need to condemn those comments to ensure that we have a more inclusive Canada. And what I saw from Justin Trudeau's comments is that he did accept responsibility, he did apologize, and he did regret making a very poor decision.
You and some of your colleagues have also defended him based on the policies that you say that your party has already brought in, that they're evidence, I'm paraphrasing, that he's moved on from that racist behavior. What kinds of policies will your party be promising in this federal campaign to combat the presence of racism in this country?
I'll tell you that we have taken steps, but we have a lot more work to do. And what's clear from the interactions and the conversations we're having is that we are committed to getting that work done. I cannot think of a better leader than Justin Trudeau or the Liberal Party to get that job done, and that's exactly why I have confidence in him. I have confidence in the values of the Liberal Party and of my colleagues. We will work together to get there, and we will work with Canadians to get there. But there's tough conversations that need to take place, and this is signaling to me that we should have those conversations, not just today, but every day until we get to that more inclusive Canada that we all want.
Beyond those conversations, though, Ms. Chagger, with respect, I was asking if there is a specific policy or set of policies that your party will be presenting in this election campaign directed at this very issue.
So as you know, we are in the midst of an election campaign. We are sharing parts of our platform on a regular basis, and you will get to see what those pieces are as the campaign progresses. What I do know is that when I was growing up, I never thought that I could put my name on a ballot, and I didn't think that I could be elected in the riding of Waterloo. What I do know is that my teachers, my neighbors, my community worked together with me. They embraced me, they taught me, they guided me, and we were able to not only have my name on a ballot, but I've been put in as a cabinet minister. It's the first time that the riding of Waterloo has elected a woman. It's the first time in the history of Canada where the government house leader is a woman. And I had that honor and that privilege. When I saw the cabinet that Justin Trudeau chose, that cabinet represented Canada. The conversations that I have with individuals that are coming after me see themselves running for office. They see themselves being able to put their name on a ballot and become Prime Minister. For me, that is hopeful. That provides me the opportunity to know that we are headed in the right direction. We have a lot more work to do. When I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me that were in these roles. But today there are more people, but we're not there yet. So I'm committed to getting that job done.
All right.
And based on Justin Trudeau's comments, I know that he is as well.
Okay, I hate to cut you off. We're about to go off air. I really appreciate your time this evening, Ms. Chagger. That's Bardish Chagger, Ontario Liberal candidate, coming to us from Waterloo tonight. It's been making headlines around the country for almost 24 hours now. A photo of Liberal leader Justin Trudeau in blackface. It first surfaced last night, and as of today, 2 more images have emerged from his past. Here's how it all unfolded. Around 6:30 Eastern yesterday evening, Time magazine tweeted this out, a photo taken in 2001 when Justin Trudeau was 29 years old, attending an Arabian Nights themed party at West Point Grey Academy, a private school in Vancouver where he worked as a teacher.
And I dressed up in an Aladdin costume and put makeup on. I shouldn't have done that. I should have known better, but I didn't. And I'm really sorry.
That evening, Trudeau apologized, admitting it was racist, but said he didn't think it was racist at the time. And then...
Is that the only time in your life you've ever done something like that?
When I was in high school, I dressed up at a talent show and sang Deo with makeup on.
Just hours later, a photo would later confirm Trudeau's account of a second incident, dressed up in high school performing a Jamaican folk song in blackface.
Is it the only two, or are there more?
These are the situations I regret deeply.
Turns out there was more. This morning, Global News published a video exclusively provided to them showing Trudeau again in blackface. The Liberal Party says it's from the early 90s, but would not say exactly where or when the video was made. Other party leaders are strongly condemning the revelations.
I want to say, who is the real Mr. Trudeau?
Wearing brown face is an act of open mockery and racism. It was just as racist in 2001 as it is in 2019.
Joining me now to discuss from west to east. In Vancouver, Ujjal Dosanjh is a former federal cabinet minister and BC premier. In Calgary, Lindsay Blackett is a former Alberta PC minister. And in Toronto, Olivia Chow is a former NDP MP. Hello to all three of you. Thanks very much for making time for us. Mr. Dosanjh, I'll start with you. I just want to get everyone's initial reaction really to what's unfolded over the last 24 hours. Mr. Dosanjh?
Well, it was quite shocking to find not just one or two or at least three incidents of blackface or brownface, whatever color you want to call it. A 29-year-old Mr. Trudeau, a teacher, law teacher, drama teacher, born to privilege, bred in privilege, educated in the best schools, for him to say that he didn't know what blackface meant in Canada or in the United States of America, I mean, that actually shocks me more than anything else. And I believe that perhaps is indicative of the fact that we as Canadians aren't educating ourselves about the history of racism in this country.
Yeah, Ms. Chow, the Prime Minister, the Liberal leader said today that he knows it's racist now. He knows it was racist then, but at the time, he didn't know it was racist. What is your reaction?
He didn't realize, he said, that how much hurt it costs. If he didn't know how much hurt it cost, then why did he hide it all these years? And today, to all the people that have been bullied, teased, mocked, shamed because of who they are, I think we need to say very clearly, loudly, this is your Canada. Don't let that intimidate you. Be strong and feel that power inside you, because this is your Canada. But it's not just about race, it's about people that have bad teeth because they can't afford to fix their teeth because of poverty, or kids, teenagers that can't invite their friends home because they live in the living room and they're too ashamed. I think what we need to do is to say, no, this is the Canada and we must do better, and Mr. Trudeau must do better, and his record hasn't been helping to lift people out of poverty, because we do know one out of 5 racialized people live in poverty, rather than the national average 1 out of 20.
Mr. Blackett, what do you think?
Well, like everybody else, I was shocked, not completely surprised, but shocked that somebody would do that not once, but twice, 3 times, how many times we don't know, and not realize as a 29-year-old adult that that's wrong. You're teaching at a private school young minds, and they follow what they learn. And what were you teaching them then? But unfortunately, it just reminds us all today that racism is alive and well, and we need to talk about it. We need to get past it, but it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time for people to understand. Making fun of somebody's color, they seem simple to you, but it's very hurtful to other people. And I'd hate to be the one parent having to have that discussion with their children this morning, explain why the Prime Minister and didn't seem to understand.
Mr. Desange, the Prime Minister, the Liberal leader spoke last night on the plane to reporters. He then gave a lengthier press conference today. He is apologizing. He says he regrets it. He talked more about the racialized Canadians who would feel most affected by what he said today. What did you make of what the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau has said so far, and what is there anything different or more that you need to hear?
Well, I watched his press conference today. I believe he offered a wholesome apology. But I think that we need to go farther than the apology. The difficulty here is, and he's going to face this question on the hustings, that the Liberal Party, my party, set the standard for asking people to resign as candidates. And that standard is coming back to haunt Mr. Trudeau. These are serious issues, and this is not just one instance, these are 3 instances, and there could be more. And I think Mr. Trudeau is going to have to earn the forgiveness. He's going to have to work very hard, as he said. I don't know how election is going to be affected by it. People may forgive him because I see a lot of people who are ignorant of the history of blackface and racism in this country. They keep saying, oh, it was just a costume. What do you expect? And I think that we need to actually take a very serious look at how we educate our young minds. If we're not teaching the historical wrongs and the kind of racism Canada has experienced and has actually meted out to some of its own communities, then we're not doing a very good job. And, granted, he has a very good record as Prime Minister of trying to be very inclusive and be an advocate of diversity, a sense of pride for Canadians when he went abroad. I think his brand is diminished. It's a bit dented. It's going to affect the country, and it may affect his election. On
that first point you made, just to follow up around candidates and the standard set, do you think he should resign?
No, I'm not suggesting he should resign. All I'm saying is he's now going to be haunted by the standard that the Liberal Party in recent days set for others.
Understood. Ms. Chow, the last time I spoke to you and Mr. Desange, our discussion was focused on what both of you described as sort of the need for Canadians to better acknowledge the degree to which racism exists in our society in order to more adequately address it. Does this underscore that point for you?
Oh, absolutely. Last time we talked about in New Brunswick, there were people that felt apparently, and I'm not sure it's only in that part of the world, of Canada, that people were not very comfortable with Jagmeet Singh, the NDP leader, perhaps because of who he is. And I think we need to call that out to say, hang on, let's question ourselves. I'm not being judgmental, but sometimes some of our racist attitude or classist attitude is embedded so deep that what does comfort means? And we need to really question it, call it out, and be upfront and talk about it. Because if not, then there has to be a reason why so many racialized people with lots of degrees are trapped in a cycle of poverty. And today, people that take care of our kids, the early childhood educators, the people that take care of our seniors, the personal care workers, a lot of them are racialized. Many of them are women, and they paid less than $15 an hour or $17 an hour. They can't make ends meet. They can't support their families. And I think we really need to say is not just accepting each other's identity, and that's of course the first step, but the second step is, are there systems that trap people in a cycle of poverty? Why can't we build better housing? Why can't we cover dental care and all of those things that lift people up and pay for, make childcare affordable? Because it's those folks, as I said earlier, 1 out of 5 racialized people are being trapped in a cycle of poverty. And as a government, a new government coming October after 21st, there's an opportunity for us to say we need a government that can do a lot more, and this is our opportunity to do so.
Mr. Blackett, Justin Trudeau asked for forgiveness from Canadians today. Do you think that's possible?
I don't know if the Justin Trudeau for forgiveness for the 3 times he got caught doing that, but it's a pattern, whether it's Aga Khan, whether it's the trip to India, whether it's the dealing of the SNC Lavalin crisis, the disdain that he has for pipelines and Western Canadians. That what we have is somebody that people look up to as our representative, and today we're embarrassed by.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part of what you said today.
And today we're embarrassed by that. So he's got a lot of work to do, but this is not the first issue. This is just symptomatic of somebody who's out of touch, somebody that's privileged. Nothing wrong to say you're privileged, but understand that, and how at 29, an adult cannot understand that. We have a country that's built on multiculturalism. We have people from all over the world. We are the envy of the world in how we were able to live together as amongst others from many different walks of life and different races, different religions, different parts of the world. And what we've done in one foul swoop has made a laughingstock of us that support that built this country, that are from other places. And we have to work hard to restore that.
Okay, I have to leave it there. I'm out of time, but I really appreciate your time, everyone. Thanks very much to Lindsay Blackett, Olivia Chow, and Ujjal Desange. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video. Thanks for watching.